Jonathan and Rebecca Brake here, and we'd like to actually just share a bit of a story with you, a story that goes back to 1996, actually before we were married. And that story is leading us to take a trip over to Africa, to Uganda, at the end of this year. We want to share that story with you because we'd love you to get involved and help us out. So hang in there, it's a story worth hearing, and we'll go from there.
So in 1996, we had been engaged for a few months, and Compassion Australia came to our church where we were living in Canberra, and they talked about compassion, and at the back of the church after the service they had a table with children that you could go and have a look at their information, decide if you wanted to sponsor. And I thought it was a great idea. We talked about it at church and said, do we want to sponsor a child? And I think the response was, sure, you go and choose the child. So I did. I went and had a look at all the children that were available, and we had both talked in our engagement period about having an interest in Africa, so we wanted to choose a child from Africa, and I think at the end of the day I chose a child based on his good looks. And
his cheeky smile.
Yes.
You had a cheek, I remember that.
It's a pretty good looking photo, and that was the start. Not long later we got married in that year, and we continued to write to our sponsor child, and we started off with just, I suppose, the normal relationship anybody does have with a sponsor child. You write them a letter, they write back to you, you share trivial information. And it wasn't until maybe 5 years into our sponsorship with this child that we actually started to realize that we cared very deeply for him, and we started to share a lot more information with him and started to get to really know who he was. So that was the start of our journey with him.
Yeah, I don't think it took us 5 years to actually care deeply about him, but it's true. It's it was one of those journeys where we did start to get quite intimately involved with this young boy's life. We had different connections in at Compassion as well, and being close to Compassion in Australia, to their main base in Australia, and some good friends and connections there. So the story then gets interesting.
Well, it does. So the background to our sponsor child was that his father had passed away before he was born, and he's the youngest of 5 children. So his mother had very little work. In his letters, he would say that occasionally she would go away fishing to be able to bring in money for the family. And at other times, she would sell goods at the markets. And it was about early 2001 that we received notification that his mother had passed away. And could never tell it without crying. But his mother had passed away, so he was left with his siblings, and an aunt moved in to help look after them. She passed away a few years later, and then they had another aunt that then looked after them. And she subsequently passed away as well. It was during this time that our connections at Compassion were great. They allowed us to get more information than what we would normally get through the project, so we could really find out how was our sponsor child really doing. And at this time, we stopped thinking of him just as our sponsor child. He was a child that we really cared about, really deeply. And he's a child that if I could have, I would have adopted him and brought him home. That's just how much we loved him. So yeah, his journey was getting tough. He was faithful in writing to us, and we were faithful in writing back. And I just love the things that he used to share with us. He used to share his love for Jesus from a very young age. He shared his love for God. And it was about the age of 13 that he wrote to us and told us that he knew that God was calling him to be a pastor. And it's exciting because today it's what he's doing.
Well, fast forward, to we had recently arrived here. We're doing this video from our new home in the United States, and I'm looking through Facebook, and I see this message sitting there from a Jeero McRonald, and I'm thinking, gee, that name sounds familiar, and he was reaching out and saying, I'm hoping it's you, and he had some photos of me and Hannah and us as a family prior to Charlie, I think.
Yes.
Even. Yeah,
yes.
So he had some original photos, so we knew immediately who it was, and we're just so amazed to be connected with this guy. And then since then we've had numerous emotional FaceTime. We'd never actually met him face to face. And so we've now spoken to him a number of times on FaceTime. It's now almost like a normal connection. For those of you who do follow us at all on Facebook and you see someone who calls me Papa, that's him. And he refers to us as Papa and Mama. And so one of the things that he said is that God willing, this is early last year, God willing, next year after I turn 30, I'll be getting married. And he said, you know, nothing would be more amazing than if you two could come over and be at my wedding, kind of as his parents. And
we'll be celebrating our 21st wedding anniversary in Uganda.
Yep.
Meeting our sponsor
5
child.
days after his first.
His wedding.
Yeah, his wedding.
Yeah.
And so we've got this incredible opportunity to go and join this guy and his bride to be. We've met them both on FaceTime now. Just beautiful people. By the way, his dream to be a pastor, he's now serving as a children's pastor at Watoto Church in Kampala. And so just amazing to see him living out everything he ever wanted to do under the most incredible, excruciating circumstances. We need to really wrap this up because we've gone for more than 7 minutes. But the bottom line is that we're going to be raising money to take with us over there. We've already paid for our airfares and so forth to go, but we're going to be raising money to take with us over there to be able to really bless them in particular, but also bless the Compassion community that he was involved with, and so he's got some big expenses. The wedding, it's not quite a Western wedding, but
No.
But still multiple thousands of US dollars. They need to settle into a new home. Once they get married, they have to settle into their own home, and so he would like to be able to do that. So there's a few things. He's a little bit of an entrepreneur. We found out some funny stories along the way of him. We knew he was buying shoes. Turns out he was buying shoes so he could sell them and make a little bit more money. So he's a little bit of an entrepreneur as well. So that really appeals to us. And so we'd love to just really bless him. And I'm going to go over there and spend some time with them, or we both are. But I'm going to spend some time with him. We're going to talk about business as well. And so we would love you to get involved in that journey with us. Obviously we don't yet, but at the time of recording this, we're not sure how this is going to work out, but there'll be some information on screen for you to be able to figure out how to do that, either from Australia or here in the US. So that's where we're at right now. We'd really love you to support us, to be praying for us. It's, we're going to be spending 10 days in Uganda, or actually the best part of 2 weeks. And we're going to be able to really connect with this guy and really bless him. So we'd love you to come on that journey.
Yeah. So we've partnered with Compassion here in America and also in Australia to be able to tell the story of our sponsor child. We've partnered with Compassion here in America. I'm going to put on a concert and they're going to be coming along and speaking at that concert. We'll be able to put information for sponsorship out there to people that are at the concert, and funds raised at that benefit will go to the project in Kampala where our sponsor child was. And we've set up some agreements there with them, and we're looking forward to being able to work closely with them, and they will be taking us into Kampala, into the village, to go and meet the project that he was a part of.